It's probably my favorite 10 days of the year. Like, it's very few and far between you find a bunch of urban people who like to pretend to be cowboys for 10 days. So, like, I personally own a very nice cowboy hat, and it's the only time of the year when people aren't making fun of me for wearing it. And if you've ever seen, like, rodeo shirts, like, with all the crazy logos and the patterns, like, that's very much my vibe. So, it was a good 10 days.
Sure. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Did you get paid to go out there, or did you just go out there for fun?
No, so I'm originally from Calgary, so I went back home and spent some time with my mom and saw my dad, and my sister just finished law school in the UK, so she's home. So it was just kind of an opportunity for all of us to kind of spend some time together. So it was just kind of an impromptu trip and fell on the right dates, so made it all work.
That's pretty sick. Awesome. That's pretty sick. And then you were telling us earlier that you kind of got a paid shoot out of it?
Yeah, so, well, funny story. I wasn't planning on doing a lot of work while I was in Calgary. It was mostly family time, but I think it was Thursday night. It was like 12 o'clock at night. I was planning on going to bed. And one of the Alberta-based Facebook groups I was in, a photographer posted saying, "Hey, like, I've burnt my hand, and I have a photo shoot at Lake Moraine at 5 o'clock in the morning." And so Calgary's in southern Alberta. Lake Moraine's in Banff, which is about 2.5 hour drive. So I kind of did the logistics of it. I went to bed for about 20 minutes. I packed all my equipment, made sure all my batteries were charged, packed my equipment, left at 3 o'clock in the morning to get there at 5. Now, this photographer had initially told me that it was an engagement shoot, but it turns out that this couple had already been married, and that they had showed up in their like suit and their wedding dress. Shit, okay. So we're trekking around the mountains, taking photos around the lake at 5 o'clock in the morning. And now most of the time you'd think that 5 o'clock in the morning there's nobody out and about, but we get there and the parking lot's like 50% full.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're trying to navigate all the good spots and all the good angles while you have everybody with their iPhone trying to get the sunset and standing out on the logs. And so that was fun. Like, that's kind of what I like about photography is the network that you have. And like, I've had problems before when, like, hey, like, I can't do this shoot for X or Y reason, and I've been able to reach out and find somebody that's reliable who can go and kind of fulfill the service for me, and I still get to edit, and I don't have to worry about that person shooting the wrong file types or shooting the wrong angles. So that's kind of the fun part of the job, I guess.
Yeah.
That must have been rough, driving 2.5 hours, and like right when you're done your drive and you're dead tired, you have to go and shoot.
Oh yeah. Well, like, the only reason that I worked at all is, like, my sister agreed to come with me. Like, I paid her to be my assistant for the morning, so she drove up while I took a nap, and then I drove back and took a nap, and like that was the only way that would have worked, because it was this photographer was in Canmore, so for her it was only an hour drive, whereas for us it was 4 hours round trip. It was. But you know, it was a good shoot. It was the first time I'd ever been out to Lake Moraine, and like I got paid to go to Lake Moraine for the first time. So
there you go.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, I definitely want to go check that out. Like Lake Louise, Lake Moraine, kind of all the hot spots out there.
You got, like, I would recommend staying away during the summer just because it is ridiculous as far as tourists go. I remember last summer I tried to go up, and you have the classic shot of the mountains in the back, Lake Louise, classic shot, mountains in the background, blue water. I showed up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and the lot was already full at the lake. Yeah. So, and there were tour buses after tour buses of tourists coming in, and it was just like, and everybody's elbowing each other to get the same shot. So summer's tough for going out to Banff, but it's beautiful all year round.
Oh yeah.
Especially during the winter.
I've seen Peter's shots and stuff like that, like the bucket shot.
That
was crazy. I really want to do that one day. Just get up at like 4 a.m. just to get there in time.
The probably, like, I guess kind of the one shot that if when you do get out there you want to aim for is, have you ever heard of Morin's Curve?
No.
So there's a CN rail that kind of runs through the mountains.
Oh, okay.
So and there's a lookout specifically for this shot, and I guess kind of the money shot is you get the red train coming through the mountains during the winter. So you got the white, the red, all the different colored cars. I tried to get that shot last winter, and unless you have like a hog radio or a CV radio, You don't really know when the train is coming, so you could be there for an hour, you could be there for 4 hours. The train could not come at all. I think we were there for 3 hours, and finally somebody who was there who had a radio said, "Oh, like he's coming around the bend now." Turns out that it was the wrong color train going the wrong direction, but I still got kind of the shot. It wasn't the shot that I wanted, but it was. It was a great shot. I still haven't edited it. It's still on my hard drive. But that's kind of the money shot. And the nice thing too is during the winter, CN has their holiday train, so you can kind of catch like the. It's all decorated with lights and Santa Claus and reindeer, and you can get it coming through the mountains, and it's the golden opportunity, and that only happens once a year. So,
that'd be crazy to get that.
Yeah,
it's definitely the one thing I do miss about Alberta is like here, like. You have a lot of nice landscapes. There's the, like you have Gatineau Hills during the fall.
Yeah.
Like I love those pictures, but it's really hard to beat the mountains, which you don't really get out here.
Yeah, very true. That's crazy. So I know that you like kind of travel a lot and like you get paid to travel a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So like how do you kind of go about gaining those clients? Do they come to you? Do you kind of try and find them?
So far it's been a lot of coming to me, which I'm really grateful for because I really don't like cold calling. Like as previously working in sales, I really hate cold calling and like kind of hoping in anticipation that someone's going to respond to my proposal. So a lot of the time I've brands have reached out to me, and then in cases where I do travel a lot as it is, like I have a girlfriend who lives in San Francisco, so and she's from Europe originally. So whenever she travels, I'll try and kind of coordinate with her when she's going, and then when I'm there, I try to make the best and see if there are either opportunities online or opportunities locally to work with companies there. So, like when I was in San Francisco, when she was at work, I just kind of browsed through Facebook and looked through a bunch of groups and see, hey, like, is there anyone like posting, like, are there models that are looking to either update portfolios, or are there couples that are looking for engagement shoots? And I just kind of poll around there and see if there's anything that catches my eye. And that's the great part about photography for me, is that you can take it and it's fun with you wherever you go, and you can also kind of work on demand.
Yeah, very true. I just totally forgot to do an intro.
Yeah, only 7 minutes in.
Whatever. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Born to Create podcast, ran by Acef.media. You can listen to the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Please do like, subscribe, comment, share. Do leave us a rating. It does help a lot. Make sure to check out our Instagram at Born to Create podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ace. My Instagram is acef.media.
I'm Frank, content creator and strategist.
Sticking with it this one?
Yeah, let's go for it.
That's the spirit.
Oh, yeah.
And this is our guest, Harrison.
Hey guys, so I'm a photographer, entrepreneur in general. I've got a couple of balls in the air, and I thought I'd sit down with Frank and Ace and kind of talk about photography and everything else in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for actually coming by.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry I had to cancel when you guys were here this week. It was reasons beyond my control.
Oh, yeah, big time.
It's all good. Busy guy. So, yeah. What kind of got you started in photography?
So I was thinking about this actually on the drive down. Like I've been doing photography for a long time. Like I think my first camera was as a kid, my parents would always send me to camp during the summer with those disposable Kodak. So I love taking that to camp because, again, I think I had 24 pictures in a row, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to plan my whole week around 24 shots because this is all I have. And then like my first kind of quasi real camera was a Rebel T3i back in high school. There was a journalism program in my high school, and this group of friends and I who would like to take out like the equipment and like shoot landscapes, shoot like street photography, and then I kind of translated that into working on my own. And that group of friends throughout high school kind of would spend weekends and evenings kind of doing photography, and just kind of advanced from there. I did journalism at Carleton University, and like part of writing the stories was like taking the photos to associate with stories for print and for online, and that kind of helped me develop technical skills. And everything else I learned online. The internet is probably the greatest resource that you can find when it comes to photography.
Oh yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So because you're taking like the journalism and storytelling, do you think like it's a big part of photography, like the whole story part of aspect of it?
Like a story, like it even says on my website, like every picture tells a story. What's yours? Yeah. And I think like storytelling is key to whatever you're doing. Like for example, with wedding photography, like you kind of you're telling a story depending on how long you're covering the event. You're telling a story from beginning to end. So preparing and like the nerves that come, the ceremony, and like just kind of the joyful faces that you have once everything's done, and the reception where I typically stay till about 10:30 because after 10:30 people don't want pictures taken of what happens after 10:30.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So and that translates to brands too. So I recently just did a shoot with Hobo Cannabis on Bank Street, and just being able to tell the story of the store. Like it's I've never been into a cannabis store before, and it was very much like American Eagle during the 2000s. It was very laid back and like relaxed, and it just was a really nice space to be in. You're just telling a story of the brands that Hobo is selling, and just kind of the knowledge of the staff, and just kind of being able to relate product to person at the end of the day.
That's fair.
Yeah. So does storytelling get involved when you're creating your captions as well, or do you leave like kind of the picture to tell the story?
I usually leave it to the photo, and that's typically because I'm terrible at captions. I will call my sister or my girlfriend up and say, "Hey, what's funny? What's witty? What's going to catch people's attention?" Like, I look at it as like it's 60-40. I think that if you've got a good picture, it can speak for itself, and the caption is a bit of window dressing and kind of the ability to share either the backstory of the photo or be able to kind of pivot to, hey, these are services that I provide, and these are services that I think would really work out for you if this is the story that you're trying to tell.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So you're a full-time photographer, and then you do like entrepreneur on the side, or together too, right?
Yeah. So kind of, I guess. So when I'm not doing photography, I am a co-founder for Chill Print and Promotions. So it's a promotional marketing company based here in Ottawa, and we do so it's like T-shirts, business cards. We do a lot of brand strategy as well. So before I started kind of taking on photography as a separate venture, there was a lot of what we did at Chill that it required photography. So we do a lot of contracts for political clients. So it would be kind of just taking pictures of the candidate and the team, and presenting the team as approachable. So that's kind of where it started, and then I kind of split it off as a separate entity just because I wanted it to be separate, and I wanted to kind of expand on what I could do. So when I'm not taking pictures, I'm working at Chill.
Okay, sweet.
That's fair enough. So what are kind of some steps you've taken to like become a full-time photographer?
So the biggest thing that I did was just kind of creating a presence online. So I had my Instagram before, and I would alternate between photos and like photos from my phone, and it wasn't really curated at all. And then I started kind of setting it up to be presenting more of the professional side of photos. From there, I used that to piggyback onto launching a website and just being able to have a web presence and being able to be found. I think that's kind of the biggest thing in any business, is being able, especially in the 21st century, is having a web presence, having a footprint, and having people be able to find you, find your work. It also saves a lot of time in the onboarding process. It's like, oh, well, I'll send you photos. I'm like, well, you can go online and you can see everything that I've done in this kind of particular niche, and if that's something that meet your needs, then we can kind of further the conversation, and you kind of don't have to worry about I guess kind of stressing the conversation longer than it needs to be.
Exactly. Just too much time per client.
Exactly. Well, even that, it's like I hate email chains.
Yes.
Like I think I've got one in my Chill inbox right now that's like 82 messages.
That's insane.
And I'm just like, is there any way that we can get into it? It's like all the information's online, but like obviously you just have not been looking for it, so I just kind of keep on sending it back and forth.
That's where I like hopping on phone calls, just because like email chains they annoy me, because information gets misleading and like they'd never get, or like the communication is just not there. So I just like hop on a phone call or just let's meet up and then let's.
Well, and
get
it,
a
and it
plan.
totally, I guess, kind of depends on who the client is. I find
yeah.
that with millennials, phone calls stress millennials out. I'm one of those people. Like if I get cold called for something, like it stresses me out a little bit, and it's like, oh, like you kind of interrupted the flow of what I'm doing. So I find that if you're a Gen Xer or a baby boomer, like it's much easier to
just email. Yeah.
It all depends. Everybody's different.
Exactly.
So
It all depends on your target audience too, right? Because if you're looking for more like maybe higher end people, you want that commitment of they actually want a phone call. Because if you just email, then you're like, but
it's passive. Whereas
a phone call is like you know it's a solid lead.
Yeah.
Going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or definitely even like scheduling the phone calls helps a lot.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
You can prepare beforehand.
Oh, absolutely.
Make sure you're not driving and whatnot to take notes and shit like that.
Yeah.
So what are some tips for someone like kind of trying to transition into full-time photography?
I guess kind of the biggest thing is to just take it seriously like you would take any other kind of job. So that involves committing a certain amount of hours to it every week and presenting yourself both online and in person as the brand that you want to be. So whether that's you're specifically a wedding photographer, you're specifically a commercial photographer, I'm kind of in the place right now where I'm a jack of all trades, and I'm going to try and cull it down to specialized niches that I like. And that's just the big thing is being willing to commit time to it. Rome wasn't built in a day, so don't expect that, I bought my Rebel and now I'm taking headshots for $25 a piece. Yeah. You're not going to blow up overnight. You need to, it's patience, it's determination, and it's just being willing to be in it for the long haul. Because I find that even now with, like I set my website up back in November 2017, it's very much a slow burn to kind of get to where you're going. And as someone that's not overly patient, patience is like the biggest thing that I can say and I have to stress when it comes to, being a full-time photographer.
Yeah. So do you still do like a lot of free shoots and stuff like that?
I do free shoots if there's a concept that I like or there's something that I want to explore. Like I'll have brands or companies that'll ask me to do free things, and it's like, for exposure. I'm like, and like you've all seen the meme online.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my rent is so many exposure bucks. Like, I like if it's for a charity and it's a charity that means a lot to me. Like, absolutely, that's something that I'm more than willing to support. But I think there is a culture around photography and media where it's like you kind of need to be paid for your work.
Yeah.
And it's hard for, I guess, a lot of older established companies to say, well, my nephew can do this or this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, then don't ask me to do it for free. Go talk to your nephew. And it's all a balance of being both polite and being firm. Because I've had cases where people have come in and it's like, oh, well, this is great, but this is our budget. And it's like, well, why did you approach me if when we initially started discussing you knew what the rate was or what the flat rate was or what the hourly rate was, and you've now wasted both of our time. So, but going back to free shoots, like absolutely, like there are, if there are concepts I want to shoot or there are models that I really want to work with, then yeah, I'll do free shoots in that cases, but I don't necessarily believe in doing free shoots for established brands or companies. Like if you're just starting up, like I've been there and I understand that. Like there's absolutely something that we can negotiate, but that's just I've kind of rambled on now a whole bunch, but that's free shoots are yes some of the time.
Yeah, 100%. I feel you on that.
True.
Some people kind of get too greedy with the free shoots as well.
Yeah,
which I've noticed happened.
Well, and it's just kind of like I've had instances where people are like, well, where are my photos? Where are my photos? Where are my photos? I'm like, well, here are all the paid shoots that are in the log that I have to deliver so that I can afford the equipment to do the free shoots. So once I work through that, I will get to this.
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty good about getting things turned around. That being said, like I have all of my passion projects that are kind of sitting in limbo right now from like the last, like I've been to Brussels and Dublin and San Francisco and Washington, and I have all these great pictures of like national monuments and like landscapes and cityscapes, and they're all kind of sitting in the queue, and it's like, well, I really want to get to these, but I have to do the paid ones. And then somewhere in the middle, like the free shoots are getting done too.
Yeah.
So, again, it comes down to being willing to dedicate the time to it, and like you guys probably feel the same way. Like, oh, the shoot is done. It's on my computer. I've culled it, but I don't want to edit it right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to just kind of sit, and I'm going to think about it, and then I'm going to put my like the best effort into it, because the worst possible thing you can do is you rush through and you don't like the work and the client doesn't like the work and nobody's happy, and it doesn't help. So patience kind of goes both ways on both being a photographer and like being the client, just managing expectations early on.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
For sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So when you
it's all good. Continue.
Okay, so when you go on your trips there,
Mhm.
do you? Because I know you shoot film a bit. Do you try to shoot a lot of film during those trips? More for like, is it more for like fun, recreational?
Film like I just recently got into.
Okay.
So for Christmas, my family got me like a Canon 300V, which is like the early Rebel, which shot 35mm film. I've got a Praktica LTL, which is like an old Soviet camera. And then when I was in Calgary, actually, I just bought a Mamiya C220, which is a is it TRL or TLR, like the dual lens system, and you kind of look down and.
Those,
okay, yeah.
My buddy has one.
So so actually just on the way here, I just dropped off my first round of 120mm film, and see how that goes. Like film is mostly for fun. I haven't gotten to the point where like, I offer it as a service. It's more of like, hey, like we're here and this is like we've shot everything digitally, and like we'll try a couple of things on film.
Yeah.
So like thankfully with the Canon, like it works with all my 5D Mark IV accessories. So like I'll slap the lens on, and I'll slap like the flash on, and I can play around with that, or I'll dial in all of the same studio settings that I'm working on in the 5D4, and then kind of go from there. But like film for me is more of like, it's experimenting. It's like, oh well, like I appreciate the digital. I have by no means mastered the digital aspect of photography, but like the film is like it's kind of a passion project. It's kind of this is fun, like this is exciting, and this is kind of making a comeback, and that's kind of where I play around with that. The thing that I hate, or well not hate, the thing that I dislike most about film is that it's hard and few and far between to find like a good lab to get it processed. So like I was in Calgary and I bought the camera and I bought the film, and I have a roll of Porta 400 and like Kodak Nektar, and I was trying to find a place to develop it. I didn't want to take it to London Drugs because
Nope.
No, you don't take anything to London Drugs. I had terrible experiences with developing film at London Drugs.
Ooh.
And there's only one there's one guy who develops film in Calgary, and he's so backlogged that like it took him a week to get back to me. And like honestly, like I'm happy to hear that like he's got so much work going on for film, because that encourages me that I can go and I can buy some of these higher end medium format cameras, and like there's still like a demand for it. But like here, like LabWorks on Bank is great, and they're quick, and that's my only thing is like being able to shoot film. And it's like, well, I have to find the perfect lab to get it done, depending on where I am.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to get into film, like just starting it, just for like kind of like the shits of it. Like I like the kind of like the look it gives off and stuff like that.
What I really like probably my favorite part about film is like you shoot it and then like, well, that's it. It's and then like it's a great learning experience, because you know what, like with digital, it's like, you know what, I'll put it in low speed continuous, and it's like, well, I'm gonna dial in the settings a little bit different, and like maybe like I can tweak it and I see what it's gonna look like. Whereas like film, it's like you really like I probably spend between 5 to 10 minutes like kind of setting up each individual film shot and like metering the light and like making sure that there's no one in frame. Like I was at the Stampede, and I was trying to like get old school carnival signs on the Mamiya. So first of all, like you're shooting at waist level, so you look ridiculous. And I'm trying to like shoot up and avoid people, and like I was trying to get like this mini donut sign, and I just had like I wasted like 3 frames because people were like running through my shot, and I'm like, I guess I'll find out when I get it developed.
That's why you got to bring a stack of little cones and just put cones so people don't pass and take your shot.
Right, like you would think that, but like
Oh no. Yeah.
Some people are generous.
What kind of film camera do you have?
I just bought like one of those disposable ones right now.
Yeah.
Because my Polaroid broke again for the second time. So
I have a love hate. So I have the same Polaroid camera. I have a love hate relationship with it because I find that like the film is tricky. Like the shot looks like it's gonna be fine. Like you shake it, you put it in your pocket, and it comes out and looks terrible. So
see, I thought you weren't supposed to shake those ones.
So that's probably what I'm doing wrong then.
Yeah.
Is shaking them.
It depends on the ones, but yeah, you can't shake.
So I thought I know that like a lot of people thought you were supposed to, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I was reading on them. I still have the box over there. I don't remember if you're supposed to shake them or not.
So you just put them in your pocket?
I think so.
Yeah, you just put them face down. So
Because I know with the new ones you don't shake.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there we go.
But it could be maybe with these you do shake.
the old school one you used to, because I remember, stupid story, I used to went at the dentist when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and they would take a Polaroid shot of you and then write your name and put it on the board. I don't know why, but I remember that.
Look at the wall of smiling faces.
Exactly, of little kids, right? It was really creepy, but anyways. So yeah, and like you would shake them. I remember shaking them, so I don't know if it was correct or not, but I know back in the days you would shake them.
Well, there's the lyric, like shake it like a Polaroid picture, like
right?
that's kind of what I based that off of. That's the limit of my knowledge on
Yeah.
Polaroids.
Yeah, like I have the new the Instax wide 300 as well.
Okay.
That's the one that actually broke, but the Polaroid there, the flash doesn't work on it.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's
So no, you haven't like done any old school like 35 mil cameras?
I've shot with it,
Yeah.
but the flash doesn't work, so I'm literally
Everything's
trying to shoot
shaking.
in here as much as I can.
Fair.
Like I've had a couple turn out not bad, but the rest are just dark.
I had like I took it to like a victory party and like I had some like the photos turned out really well. And then I took it on a family outing, and it was like night and day. The photos were terrible. And it was just like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, I find them iffy, but I want to get like an I-type one
Okay. Yeah.
just to kind of see what that's like.
Mhm.
But like I like the wide, like the Instax wide 300. It takes really nice clean shots. Like
Mhm.
that's what most of my Polaroids around
Yeah.
back behind that is. But that's the second one that's broken on me.
That's brutal.
So
Do you do film at all?
not yet. No, like my parents have 2 film cameras,
Yeah.
so I might get into it. I just gotta buy rolls and see if they still work.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Like I'm trying to think who in auto like you get them on Amazon. Like it wasn't it's not expired from Amazon because I got Kodak Porta or not Kodak. Yeah, it's Kodak Porta 400 from Amazon. But the thing is, like you have to buy it in like a pack of
The big bulks.
yeah. So I think it's like $70 for like 8 rolls.
Which is worth it if you actually know the camera works.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Like the worst thing is like you buy a camera, like put the film in, and it's like, well now I have all this film and I have a camera that doesn't work.
Then you have to buy another
So-
camera. Hope that one works. Oh yeah.
Like I bought like I think I picked up like before I got like a Canon AE1 at a garage sale. I put a roll in, and I shot the whole roll, and then I took it to get developed, and there was a light leak, so there was like a diagonal line across all of my frames, and I'm like, I could fix that in Photoshop, but like why would I want to do
Yeah.
that?
I think I might pick up like the K1000.
K1000 now. I don't know which one that is. Is that a Fuji?
Yeah, Pentax, isn't
I
it?
think it's Pentax.
Yeah, because I got
Because we had Silkmaid on yesterday.
Yeah.
And he talks like he knows a lot about film because he shoots film.
Oh, I love his film stuff.
Yeah, so he was saying like one of the beginner ones to pick up would be like a K1000, or I think he said AE1 as well.
Yeah, AE1 without a light leak is great.
yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure it's still got the same EF mount as like the modern cameras. Because I know that's what. So with my Canon 300V, I throw like my Sigma art glass on there, and it's great.
Okay, yeah. Because my parents have I don't know which one, but it's a Minolta, and the other one's a Pentax, but the Pentax is digital,
Ah, okay.
right? But both of them, like the email doesn't work.
Ah, okay.
So I was like, damn. So it's either I get a converter for those, or I buy one that actually will support the EF lenses.
Right.
So I know you kind of already touched on what you photograph,
Mhm.
but like, what do you like, kind of mainly focus on? Or prefer to shoot even?
So there's 2 kind of categories there. There's the things that I like to shoot, and there's things that I like to shoot that pay the bills.
Yeah.
So in category 1, the things that I love like architecture, and I love like cityscapes and landscapes. Like I love kind of wandering around to Gatineau Park in the fall and like getting all the colors, or like wandering out to the mountains. And in category B, it's a lot of like portraits and commercial work. So like working with like content creators, social influencers, and like entrepreneurs to kind of help them both create their brand and like expand their company's brand, as well as something that I'm just kind of branching out into now too is weddings. So weddings are incredibly stressful. There is a lot of pressure on the photographer to get those once in a lifetime kind of moments. But I find it really rewarding, and I just find it really, once you kind of get into the swing of things, like I find it to be really enjoyable, and you're spending the happiest day of someone's life with them and kind of capturing those moments for them. So, two categories there is what I mainly photograph.
Sweet. So for weddings, like, I know there's like wide range, but do you do mostly like more like Catholic based weddings, or is it more like all over the place as well?
So I don't really pigeonhole myself into like one specific type of wedding. So like I have done Catholic weddings, Christian weddings, non-denominational weddings, just kind of like the non-spiritual based weddings. I haven't done like the big like multicultural weddings, so like Indian weddings or Sikh weddings, just because before I kind of even think about doing that, I like to second shoot for somebody that's experienced, because those are a whole different affair in and of themselves. And if you think that you know what you're doing just because you're a wedding photographer, you will be completely blown out walking in with that kind of attitude.
Because like the schedule is completely different, right? Like you don't even know what's going on.
It's like, and like weddings are a full day affair within themselves, and like these weddings are full day affairs, multiple venues. Like there's a lot of moving parts, and like you just need to know what you're doing before you get in there. So like before I have referred those types of weddings to people that I know that are experienced, and I'm hopefully going to second shoot one or two before the summer's done, and then I can think about whether or not I'm comfortable to take on that level of responsibility.
Like I'd love to shoot an Indian wedding. Like so colorful.
They're colorful, and like they're amazing parties. Like I've attended one, and like it's nonstop. Everybody's having a great time. Like it's just very fast paced, but not at the point where I'm going to shoot them just yet.
Exactly. Okay, cool. And then like, is there something that makes you different than a lot of photographers from Ottawa? Like, is there something that makes you unique?
So I guess kind of like my differentiating factor is that like my background is initially in marketing. So I am not a photographer who markets. I'm a marketer who is also a photographer. So like I mentioned, so a lot of the photography work that I've done with my first company is kind of grown into both storytelling and like being able to tell brand stories and being able to position people for their customers. And I take that experience and that background and then translate that into storytelling and photography.
So like being a marketer first and then a photographer, do you think that plays like a huge role in you getting potentially more clients than other people?
I wouldn't say like, again, I wouldn't measure. I don't like to measure against other people.
Right.
I think that's the most important thing in photography, is that you don't measure yourself against, I guess, competitors. I wouldn't even call them competitors. Like, we're all working in the same field. We all have different levels of experience. We all have different equipment. And I find that when you kind of get down to the nitty gritty of, yes, we compete with one another. Like, yes, there's such a thing as healthy competition, but there's also unhealthy competition. And just thinking well, why didn't I get that job over that photographer, or why doesn't my stuff look like this guy on Instagram? But as far as like, I wouldn't say that it helps me book more clients. I think that it helps me I wouldn't say make less work, but it helps me kind of streamline the process of like creating content for clients in the way that it's like, well, what are you looking for? What kind of story are you trying to tell? And just kind of starting from there, as opposed to, well, these are the kind of photos that I want. I'm like, well, let's get a little bit deeper into what those photos mean and what those photos say to your potential audience.
Because you have that experience, so you know what works, what doesn't as well. And then it's more of like strategy based. Instead of just like, let's just shoot typical, like, not typical, but like your main shots you'll get.
Well, it's even like when I do simple headshots, and like people come into the studio and just sit on the chair. I'm like, well, what are these for? What are you trying to convey? And then we can kind of play around with, like, well, if it's for LinkedIn, like, yes, we'll do a couple on the white backdrop, but we also want, if you're an entrepreneur and you want to stand out, do something a little fun, we'll play around with colors. Like, we'll do yellow because it's bright and it's punchy, and we'll do blue depending on if it's something that matches your brand style, and just kind of playing around with that, as opposed to like stand in front of the wall, position the light like this, and you're done. Have a good day.
Yeah, that's fair. And do you have like a workflow for headshots? Like, how do you greet your clients from like A to Z during the shoot?
Yeah. So basically, I get them in. I get them. I want like the worst possible thing that can happen, like doing any kind of shoot, is you don't want people to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So you get them in. Like, can I get you something to drink? Like, give them a little bit of preamble. Like, how's your day going? Like, what's on the agenda? Like, what are you doing after this? Before this?
Yeah.
I like to put on music. I want people to like, what's your favorite kind of music? Like, what makes you, like, what puts you in the zone? Like, what makes you comfortable? So, I'm a country music guy. So like, I don't get a lot of people in the studio like, yeah, like, put on some Alan Jackson. Like, I'll be fine. I'm like, no. So like, I get everything from like jazz and R&B, and like I'll just kind of throw that on the speaker, and I'll get them in kind of the standard poses and like sitting on my stool or standing. And then once we've got all that kind of figured out, we'll do like, if you have props, if you have brought like a binder with you, or you have your laptop, or there's something from your company that you'd like to showcase along with your portrait, then we kind of play around with that. Yeah. But yeah, the best, like, again, you want to make people comfortable. They want to feel like themselves, so that when you do kind of capture that image, they're kind of portraying their best self.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to be in a studio, or do you prefer to be out doing stuff?
So that's tough. I do like studio work just because it's controlled and I have a lot of space to kind of operate. So with my studio work, I work with a set of Profoto B10s. So they're wireless strobes. Yeah. So like a lot of some of the great sets that I've done have been out of studio. So I've done 2 sets now at Invest Ottawa out in Bayswater. It's a little like a startup incubator space, and I have 2 clients that have worked out of there, and I take my strobes and kind of set up the space. And I definitely prefer environmental portraits over studio portraits, just because you get to tell like a little bit more about what's going on, and they're a little bit more dynamic. So like the standard, like the white background is very kind of boring, very mainstream, but that's what some people want. Whereas the environmental portraits are like, well, this is my place of work, or this is a dynamic background, and this kind of adds to like what I'm showing as my own.
Yeah, very true. Do you find it hard to like get creative in a studio since you're kind of so limited? Because I know definitely for like me shooting in studio, and I know he kind of struggles with a bit shooting in studio. Like we find kind of you're limited to like what's there. Like being outside, you can go out and like switch up locations, go out and do more stuff. You know.
Yes and no. So like again, there's only like so many poses that you can kind of run through. Right. But I guess kind of the main thing about being in studio is like just have a good time, and then kind of capture that good time because it projects well on the brand or the client or whatever you're working with. And like I typically bring like props with me or like different outfits, and like especially with a lot of my clients like to come in like, well, I want to do a couple different looks, and I'm like, sure, absolutely. Yeah. But you're entirely right. Like working outside, like you get to change the angle, go around the corner, like work with different things. So, as far as doing creative shoots, or like brand, like lifestyle shoots, like I like to do them out of studio.
Most definitely. How do you like the pro photos? Kind of jealous.
So they are beautiful, but I wouldn't say that they're necessarily cash flow positive just yet. They're beautiful light. They're super responsive. Like I think I can get about 300 full powers flashes out of. Well, that's what they're advertised for, but I can definitely get like a full day of shooting out of them as long as it's not like shooting at 10 the entire time. Yeah. I love that they're portable. I love that there's the B1Xs, which is what I kind of practiced on, and like love them. They were great, but the great thing about the B10s is like they're the size of a camera lens, and I can throw them in my backpack. And then if I'm out working, I can just like throw it on instead of like carrying a separate bag for my lights, I can throw the B10s in my camera bag, slap one on a tripod because it's got a different foot on it, and it's all very compact and easy to go. They're not as powerful as the B1Xs. Like I think they're 250 watt seconds over 500 watt seconds for the B1Xs, but like I've never had a problem where they haven't been powerful enough for what I want them to do. Yeah. So
eventually, when I get my own house, come my own studio, I want to get some. But That's a while down the road.
Yeah, no, like I bought them, like I had put like all of my gig money aside, and I had some Christmas money that came in, and I went and bought them on Boxing Day. And with the warranty and everything, like the price came up, it's like, oh, they're still a little bit out of reach, but I'm like, you know what? I deserve this. I'm gonna treat myself. Like they have definitely one of the more costly investments that I made, but like they definitely help for, like, again, that differentiation that we talked about is like I can show up on site with my lights, and I don't have a big footprint in your space, and we're still kind of capturing like the high quality strobe stuff that we would do in studio, and you're getting the added benefit of in your place of work, or the place that you're comfortable, or the place that you want clients to kind of see.
Yeah.
It's a quicker setup.
Oh yeah.
So do you mainly use like umbrellas and stuff, or like soft boxes, or what do you prefer to use?
So when working in studio, I typically like the soft boxes, just because you could kind of that added control on light. Mm-hmm. If I'm working out of studio, then I will do umbrellas, just because it's quick and easy to pop them, as opposed to like building an umbrella in like somebody's restaurant, and it's just like, I don't want to get it dirty, I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah.
But and even then, when I want to be quick, I will leave the B10s at home, and I have the A1 as well. So I'll throw the A1 on a light stand or the tripod, and it works with my Air remote. So
Sweet. So yeah, I picked up the A1.
The A1, like,
it's expensive.
It's expensive, but you know what? Like, it's the light. The light is beautiful. I like the lithium-ion battery is great for a recharge cycle, and yeah. And the nice thing is that before, like, the Air remote, I think is like $600.
Yeah.
So I bought the B10s, and instead, like, I saved up a little bit to buy the remote, but I just used the A1 as my Air remote until I bought. So yeah, no.
Shit, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, the A1 is got an internal Air remote built into it.
Smart. Yeah.
That's pretty dope. Yeah, I don't even use my flash enough.
No.
See, people do you do a lot of natural light stuff, or?
Yeah, for the most part. Like, I've kind of tried to start bringing it with me just to use it as a filler. Yeah. But then it's kind of stuck on my camera, so I can't really move it around too much. But... Well,
and it's also like super bulky. That's the one thing. Like, it is like, it's the equivalent of what is it, the Canon 600 EX or whatever. They're big boys, and like, yeah, even like when I'm in weddings and like I'm trying to navigate, I'm like, oh, I don't want to break the flash off the camera, like. But I'm not big on natural light stuff. No? I like, you know what? I'll do it every now and then. Like if I'm out, like a lot of the carnival lights stuff that I do is all natural light. I don't like to take flashes like that because I like the ambient. But like for weddings, like I'll always have a flash with me and like 2 or 3 batteries, because yeah, I'd rather have it bounce and fill and be able to play around with it in post than have to worry too much about, well, the lighting is really bad. Like for walking down the aisle, like, oh, the lighting's really bad, but like I can spruce it up with an on-camera flash.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then you can raise up your f-stop too.
Yeah.
With the flash, which is, you kind of want to do that during weddings.
You can raise the f-stop and you can lower your shutter speed.
Yeah.
So, probably the last question that we have. This one's for me because I was kind of curious. Why do you post like a 4-shot series?
So, like, when I originally started posting on Instagram, it was like I would just kind of post random photos. Like if you look, I think, what was it? Probably like April of last year. Like I would just post like random shots, and I it's funny. I used to give people like a really hard time for, like, people would ask me like, "What's your theme?" I'm like, whatever looks good. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. And then there was a photographer that I follow, and she would do portrait series. So she would do the 3 pictures and then the one 2x3 set. And I really kind of liked the way that it looked. And I was like, you know what, like maybe add a little bit more. It looks like I've added a little bit more time to it. So that's kind of my big thing, is like, I would love to post all of my favorites from every free series. Like right now on my Instagram, I think my last series is from probably my favorite wedding that I've ever shot, which was last year in Alberta. It was a barn wedding, and like it was in the middle of forest fires. So like the sky was all gray, but it was like having a giant diffuser. So like the light was all like really nice, and like the colors were beautiful. And I've totally lost my train of thought. I just like having it all kind of contained, because I would like to post every photo, but like if I can limit it to 4, then I will post the 4 to my Instagram, and then I will post the blog to my Facebook page, and you can kind of see the 4 plus the additional ones that I really want to showcase from that shoot. So it's kind of exercising restraint. So it's not like, well, this is now the 12th photo from that wedding. Like, can we see something else? So it just kind of did to limit myself and just differentiate between the two, like the sets.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. You want to hop into lightning round then?
Let's do it.
You got your air horn?
We need one.
All right, so lightning round, 10 questions answered off the top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
As ready as I'm ever going to be.
Famous person you'd like to shoot?
Harrison Ford.
Favorite food?
Oof, I'm a burger guy.
Morning and night person?
Definitely night.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be?
Shoot. Probably somewhere in Europe.
Go-to lens?
I love my 85mm portrait lens.
That's a new one. That's the same with him.
Yeah.
Favorite drink?
Ryan Ginger.
First thing you'd buy if you won $1 million?
Shit. I'd pay off my student loans and put the rest on a house.
Who would you call if you got put into jail?
Probably my sister.
Mac or PC?
Definitely PC.
Yeah. What would you tell your younger self?
Take risks, have fun, don't take anything too seriously.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Do you have any questions for me or Frank?
I guess kind of like, well, we've talked a lot about me, but like, so I know you guys are you're both still at Algonquin, or you're done at Algonquin?
I'm done, yeah. Graduated.
I dropped out.
Yeah. That's okay. I've done that a couple of times at Algonquin. I actually done that twice at Algonquin. We won't tell anyone. Oh shit, the mic's still on. Okay, so yeah, why, like, what was kind of if you want to talk about it, what's like, why did you find that the program wasn't working for you, or did you find that, what was...
So, like, I'm fine talking about it, but, like, the reason I kind of dropped out is, well, first of all, my GPA wasn't high enough. Mm-hmm. That reason was because I was already kind of focusing on doing my own stuff.
Yeah.
So I completed, like, 3 semesters. I was going to drop out at the beginning of the 3rd, but I wasn't, like, kind of didn't drop out in time, type of thing. So I dropped out at the end of the 3rd semester. But yeah, I was already focused on my own stuff, and if I went back and I handed anything in late or anything failed or anything like that, then I could have got asked to leave. Mm-hmm. So it's either potentially waste $4,000 and get a piece of paper that in the end it doesn't really do too much.
Sure.
Or I keep that $4,000, kind of keep on doing what I'm doing and stuff like that and work it out. Like, so far it's doing really good for me. I don't regret going to school. Yeah. Like, I'm glad that I went and learned a lot, like, the business. I definitely wouldn't have learned studio unless I actually kind of put in the time to do that. When I learned printing and stuff like that. So I'm kind of glad that I did that. But yeah, like, I don't regret dropping out or anything like that. It hasn't bit me in the ass so far.
Yeah.
Well, then what are the...
wood for that.
So you got a lot more time to, like, focus on. So, like, what are the big things that you're working on right now?
Right now, just working on this podcast, traveling for Mud Hero. Mm-hmm. Kind of working on starting to run ads for this podcast. We want to start doing that, branching out, doing a lot of traveling. Kind of trying to start, like, I'm getting into, like, a lot of videography because that's kind of, like, I'm more intrigued to kind of get into that.
Well, there's a huge demand for it.
Yeah. More like cinematography and stuff like that. So recently just started filming, like, mini videos of our shoots, like 1 minute long videos. Eventually I want to get really good at that, then trying to take that into longer videos, like couple outfits, start dropping them on YouTube and stuff like that. I eventually want to start vlogging again, but I don't know, or just making like cinematic films, shit like that. That's kind of like the game plan as of right now. But
so then I'm gonna flip the same question that you asked me then. So you're doing Mud Hero, you're doing all this stuff. How, like, what's your best approach for brands?
So
they find you? Do you reach out to them? What's the magic?
For Mud Hero, I'm actually doing labor work, so it's not photography. I haven't really reached out to too many brands to work with. Yeah.
Honestly. Do they find you, or?
Kind of, sorta. Like, me and him did one for the drop in Jam Cereal.
I didn't see that. I still have to go. I really miffed I haven't made it to Jam Cereal yet because, like, it just looks so good.
It's just a must, at least once.
So good. So my cousin owns the drop.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll shoot stuff for him, and then my cousin's, like, best friends with the guy from Jam Cereal. Mm-hmm. So for the most part, like working with brands, I've kind of networked my way into it. Like even shooting keys and crates at Blues Fest, like I shot them a message, offered them a service for free. They accepted it. I messed up on my part because I handed them the photos back too late.
It happens.
I knew like it was like 3 days late. They're already touring somewhere else. It's kind of, that's at least my reason behind
it's a good thing to have in your portfolio.
Exactly. So it works out, but yeah, for the most part, like I haven't tried reaching out to brands. Like I've thought about it because we want to host like an Airbnb shoot.
Yeah.
With certain photographers, certain models who will actually like kind of put in the work for it.
It should show up.
Yeah.
A
lot of fake people out there on Instagram these days who just kind of shoot for the shits, not actually trying to become a photographer.
Yeah.
So, but for that one, I want to reach out to brands like clothing companies, anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly get Ruckify involved.
Yeah.
To rent stuff, shit like that. But I don't know. It's pretty much my way of reaching brands.
Yeah.
Definitely do a lot of research before you reach out to the brand.
Yes. The worst, you don't want to be unprepared.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of instances where that's happened.
Or even like start to kind of cater your Instagram towards that brand, if that's your only mean of like kind of social media. You know, if you're looking for shoe with a sunglass company, start posting a little bit of sunglasses or some around that before you reach out to them, so they can go look at it and be like, oh, he's already shooting these. I'd rather have him shoot them in our glasses.
Right.
It's kind of my approach on reaching brands.
No, that's good. And so what did you think of the Algonquin photo program? Because I looked at it. Like I finished at Carleton. Yeah. And I was looking, like I've dropped out of Algonquin twice because I did, going from university to college is like a bit of a shell shock. And I did, there was a brand management. I did the first year of a brand management program, and it was just terribly organized. It was just, I hated it. And then I went to go do a project management certificate, and then the school went on strike. And I was like, listen.
Was that last year, or was that?
That's 2 years ago.
2016, 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went in and I signed up for the project management certificate, and like it was also poorly organized. And then the strike happened, and then the school gave you the option of getting out of there. I was like, I'm going to get out. So, but what were your thoughts on the Algonquin photo program?
So I wasn't in the photo, I was in graphic design.
Okay.
So that was a pretty good program. That was a 3-year program. Yeah. So like he learned all everything from Adobe pretty much. The whole Adobe suite and the whole design part of it. I liked it. The only thing is like I like to move. Yeah. Right? So photography was more of like my go-to. Like after class I would just do photography,
get
do
up
shoots.
From behind the desk and
exactly get to move, talk to people, and not being on a desk just editing or doing work. So that's what kind of led me to more photography. Like I still have that background of design, so I still do it. But like I actually liked it because I get more strategy out of stuff. So I learn more of like the brands, right? Like how to set up things for brands, which is like it's not marketing, because marketing and design is completely different, I would say, because yours is more about numbers, right? Or, like, I mean, it depends. But
high level strategy, I guess.
Yeah. Right. So I just like the whole brand process of more like sitting down with the client, knowing what they want, and then go from there. So that's what intrigued me. That's why I did graphic design, just because I like doing design work and more strategy. And then like I'm just trying to right now just mix in like creating content. So like either video, some design After Effects work, or photos, and then mix it all in with some more strategy. So yeah,
the funny thing about that is, I think it was last semester of this program. In my head, because we were always shooting, he's like, oh man, I have so much work to do, like it's due Saturday or whatever, but it's a Friday and we're out shooting.
Yeah.
And he hasn't even started yet. So in my head, I'm like, Frank, you're not going to be becoming a graphic designer.
No. Well, and that's, that's actually how I transitioned more into photography, is like, I would use photography as an escape from my work, and then it translated into, well, if I'm going to invest this into it, I need to get some ROI back to it, so.
Exactly.
No, I totally understand that. So.
Yeah, might as well just go balls deep and just go into photo.
Yeah. What about brand stuff? Have you done a lot of brand stuff, or?
I've done a bit. Like not like any huge brands, but like I've done a couple logos for companies and things like that. Yeah. That's about it.
Cool.
But yeah.
I want to get a Red Bull sponsorship.
Well, I've seen you here late at night doing the midnight grind, so like.
Yeah.
Just have a Red Bull fridge just sponsored.
I have a guy who works at Red Bull.
Yeah.
So he hooks me up with Red Bull sometimes. So I'm trying to like slowly work my way into that. because that would be absolutely sweet.
And it would make the midnight oil burn a lot easier.
Oh, man.
Yeah, 100%.
And biggest crash ever in the morning.
That'll be fine. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and listening to this episode. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Being a part of this episode. Definitely brought a lot of value here and definitely learned a lot as well.
Covered a bunch of topics.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
So stay tuned for upcoming topics surrounding the creative industry. If you'd like us to talk about a certain topic, let us know. If you'd like us to bring on a certain guest, let us know as well. Leave a comment, check us out on YouTube, like, subscribe, share, all that usual stuff. Say it every episode. Make sure to check out our podcast Instagram at Born to Create Podcast. You can check me out at Acef.media.
FM.photography_design.
And where can they find you at?
So I'm at Harrisonboyd on Instagram.
Perfect. Everything will be linked in the description, guys. Peace out. Stay woke.
Have a great Friday.
Adios.
Or whatever.